Welcome to Retrograde Amnesia, a comprehensive podcast series where we talk about Xenogears until we are physically unable to talk about Xenogears. My name is Chris Stone, and I'm joined today by my friend Eric Lehman. Hey, Eric.
Hey, Eric. I'm Eric.
We are definitely not recording this episode immediately after recording the previous episode.
No, sir. Brand new day. Fresh day, bright early in the morning, not 10 o'clock on a Friday night.
I am not slightly more intoxicated than I was when we started recording the last one. Nonetheless, we are here to talk about the subsequent chapters in this game, mainly the next chapter, Dazil.
Yes.
Or Dazil.
Citan has just told Ellie to get the hell out of here, and Fei and Citan exit the Blackmoon forest?
Yeah, we're out of the Blackmoon forest. Fei is still quite ill mentally.
Yeah, he's not in a good place.
But
he must fight.
He seems like he's maintaining a reasonably positive attitude. Like, he's still going forward. Mm-hmm. No one is dragging him by the wrist to the next location in this, in this game.
He's no longer like quite as suicidal as he was. He's making forward progress.
I don't know what exactly he thinks he's... Well, actually, we're going to get to the point to where we kind of figure out what Fei has left.
Yeah.
Because he has nothing left. That's hard to get through in a video game with sprites. But Fei, everyone he knows is dead except for a handful of people. And the one guy he knows, that's not dead. He sucks.
Yeah.
Dan.
I mean, isn't that why Batman burned down his house, is so he could start over fresh? And
I didn't know Batman ever burned down his house, but...
You didn't see Batman Begins?
What will you do?
Rebuild it. Just the way it was, brick for brick.
He did that on purpose?
I don't know, maybe. Probably not.
This is not a Batman podcast. If you want to start a Batman podcast...
Look, he made the best of it, all right?
Yeah, he did. Are there any good Batman podcasts out there? I don't know.
Most likely.
So we are exiting the Blackmoon forest, walking through the desert on the world map. We have Fei and we have Citan.
Those are our party members.
Citan is doing a little bit of martial arts, but we don't really have Citan in our party for very long because we don't have to do too much wandering before we reach Dazil.
But you can go out there and you can beat ass. You can kill sandmen. They're called sandmen, but they're just prospectors wandering around out in the desert. And if you kill them, you get like 250 gold. You know what I like? Gold. I killed a bunch of these dudes to get me some gold.
You know what? I took the opposite approach. I have not bought, at this point in the game, I've bought no gear.
I haven't either. I just want gold.
Oh, okay. You're just hoarding.
But there is just a little problem with Fei being distraught over killing Timothy, and he's just murdering sandmen out in the desert with his buddy Citan. Just, it's hard to tell if they're scuffles because when you kill these guys, they evaporate into red mist.
Is this the second Star Wars reference of the game after the Rancor dragon?
Oh, as far as Sandman? I mean, it's sand people. They're not really gendered in Star Wars, but these are definitely men.
But they look the same.
Yeah, it's possible.
Cloaks on. But I guess if you were to design a man that lived in the sand, he would probably have a cloak on.
Yeah.
He'd have a mask on,
He'd have a weapon or a tool of some sort.
These guys have guns, though.
They do.
They pull guns out of their trench coats.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, if you're going to go out looking for relics in the desert, you want as many weapons as possible. Who knows if you're going to run into 2 karate masters.
Does this mean that guns are salvageable through the ruins, that the Ethos... Is it Ethos? That the Ethos are...
I always went Ethos.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the word is pronounced. Well, except for in the Big Lebowski.
I mean, say what you want about the tenets of National Socialism, dude. At least it's an ethos.
No. But that's a different story.
Yep.
So, they have guns, so I don't know where these sand... Are they human? They're humanoid?
They're human, they're not Jawa, but like, where's the factory that mints all the bullets in this world? Like, you're not supposed to ask these kind of questions.
JRPGs always give a lot of context for the world when you talk to NPCs, when you travel the world, when you digest the storyline, but there's never any context for the bad guys in the random encounters. Very, very rarely. There is a forest in Final Fantasy VI where you can fight T-Rexes and Brontosauruses. Why? I don't know. You just can.
Yeah.
And again, we're faced with a similar situation here where there's just a bunch of random types of monsters roam the forest, occasionally a soldier.
And I kill them and take their gold. Who's the real villain? Who can say?
Who can say? Well, this won't be the first time that Fei Fong Wong likes to hijack some shit from somebody, but we'll get there. We get to Dazil. Are we saying Dazil or Dazil?
I prefer Dazil because Dazil's a really cool word. Also, it's in English.
Yeah, that's true. And we get a really nice background music here.
City of Burning Sands. That's the music name.
It's a really great song, and it evokes, it's very Arabic inspired music.
Yeah, it actually has chants in it, and this was like the first time where I played a game on a CD system where that had like actual voice samples and wasn't just like MIDI repeating stuff.
Yeah.
I guess other than Final Fantasy VII. Which
at the time it makes it feel, I mean, a lot of times when there's vocals in the background music, it makes it feel special or important. In this case, Dazil's not really a special or important place.
No, it's backwoods.
It's just the next...
It's a gold rush town, basically.
Yeah, it's an outpost where people are rushing to salvage ancient gears out of these various sites to try to put them back together.
In this sun-bleached town, do you think the buildings were stone or clay?
Good question. What's your read?
I read stone. Like Dazil's bright, it's white, it's out in the desert, and like, who knows if it was an actual village that was co-opted, but it found all these relics? Because Dazil, like, the gold rush is people are digging up relics and like selling them off. It's a common metaphor for a boom town.
Yeah, it looks like it's a boom town based on the gold rush factor. But if you're an American or you're a Westerner and you're told to close your eyes and picture a Middle Eastern town, small Middle Eastern town, that's what Dazil is.
Yeah, if you're an American specifically, then you picture Tatooine.
Yes, or Agrabah or something of that nature. Yeah.
Hyper idealized version of whatever the real thing was.
And yeah, that's what it is. And we've talked about Citan and how his propensity to let us know that he knows some shit, but doesn't actually tell us what the shit is. When you enter the town, he appears to be immediately prepared for some spy shit.
Yeah.
Because he says, let's find out what these two major countries are up to by talking to people in this remote desert outpost.
Yeah, it gives you an excuse to like press the plot along by talking to the random. I think you end up talking to some guy in a building to actually move the plot, but it's saying, hey kid, go get a flavor for this world. Citan also explains the point of Dazil to Fei, which once again suggests that Fei has never even thought about leaving his village over the last 3 years. Not like the next door neighboring town was never an object of interest for him or anyone else.
Yeah, it does really feel like Fei, in the 3 years of before he lost his memory, he has only existed to be a citizen of that town.
Yeah, he's a sweet summer child.
Because even the, his friends who have been killed recently, it appears that Fei feels as if those were his childhood friends.
Yeah.
Even though they weren't. He's known them for 3 years.
They filled that role for him, sure.
Yeah. Before we can really do anything, Citan says we need to go check out the Ethos workshop.
Interesting. Have we explained what the Ethos is yet?
In the beginning info dump, after the anime prologue, we learned that Ethos was an organization that was, I believe it was referred to as a culture-preserving organization.
Nonpartisan.
I think that we also learn through talking to people in this town that Ethos, they excavate the gears and the technology from the ruins that are out here in the desert. And for some reason, they're able to decide who gets what.
Yeah.
So we are introduced to them as a balancer of military power, basically, right? We do see a little bit later a couple of consumer grade gears or, things that civilian gears, but most of the technology that we've been introduced to this point is military. And the Ethos is the organization that is controlling who gets what.
Yeah.
And we don't really know why.
If you speak to people out there, the average prospector, they kind of say like, yeah, these people got it all on lockdown. We can find some stuff, but it's not worth anything. I've kind of wasted my life coming out here. Just some resignation from the populace that isn't a member of the military or Ethos.
What is your familiarity with the word ethos at this point in your life when you're first playing this game?
Brand new.
What sense do you think you got about the word at that time? Because it sounds
vaguely religious.
Yeah, it does.
Like with some moral implications behind it.
What if I told you, and I don't know if you know this already or not, but what if I told you that the Japanese word used for the ethos is just the church?
Yeah, okay. That's, I mean, with what happens with the character later named Billy, like that kind of becomes clear. But given it, like it was the 90s, they still weren't putting crosses in churches and games a whole lot. So that's really illuminating.
Yeah, and perhaps we can...
Of course, the church would be in charge of relics.
Yeah, and
nobody would question it. Oh, yes, of course, definitely.
Maybe at some point we can try to dissect the terms that were changed in this game due to the the way the game was translated.
Localized,
I should say. Yeah, better way. But I think without knowing too much more, the church being changed to the Ethos.
I just want to call it the church.
Is symbolic of kind of a couple of other adjustments that I think that we're going to see later in the game, because there's a lot of religious symbolism in iconography throughout this game, but none of it is quite as succinct as just the church.
Yeah,
like it's always like, well, we can kind of tell this is a reference to the Catholic Church, or to a sort of a medieval style Catholic Church. But
I mean, you think about all the relics that our Catholic Church has. I mean, good God, like, of course, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and we've already seen a bust of an angel earlier in this game in Citan's garage, so the parallels are already there.
So did you go and explore all the buildings that were not story relevant?
I walked around a few of them. The sense I got from the NPCs overall was there was often an expression of a fear of an all-out war between the two countries of Aveh and Kislev.
Kind of teetering on the edge.
Yeah, and there was also a lot of people that indicated that they were there in Dazil to make some money or to grab the opportunity, the San Francisco gold rush of this world, I guess you could call it.
There was also, I found a lot of people concerned about the water situation in Dazil. There's a big water pump that's basically the center of town, and at least one or two houses where somebody's like, yeah, no, it's my job to watch the pump. I watch the pump. I watch the pump.
There was also, I didn't actually mean to interact with it, but I did when I was trying to leave the building. There was a list on the wall or something that said this is like the water pump or the water maintenance schedule. Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of little bits of flavor throughout this town.
There's also a bar.
There is a bar.
Who's in the bar?
Well, you walk into the bar with Citan, and there's a bunch of text blocks just kind of...
Yeah, idle bar chatter filling the screen.
Yeah, going all over the place. And I think that's a really neat way to convey commotion in a game with text dialogue, you know?
A loud scene.
Yeah, because the text bubbles are popping up so quickly that you can't really dissect everything that's in there. Yeah, you can't really tell what's going on. And it's exactly like walking into a bar, pretty much. And there's a bunch of dudes there that I guess they're trying to call Big Joe a pussy.
Yeah, no, yeah. Let's. Big Joe is a portrait character.
Yeah,
it is an important, well, kind of a famously unimportant character for Xenogears, but definitely he calls somebody a big pussy, but it's just --SSY, like, or maybe it's just PU and the SSY is cut off. But clearly, someone like localized that. Somebody else went, no, you can't do that.
I'm not really sure what they were arguing about. I didn't write any of that down, but a bunch of dudes were yelling at Joe, and Joe was yelling back at them. And
just big Joe. Big Joe's would you say he's Xenogears' joke character? Sort of.
Yeah, I think him along with maybe Hammer later in the game.
Supplier Hammer, yes. Yeah. He's a big pink suit.
He's got a very, I would say a flamboyant Fist of the North Star vibe.
Yeah, very Fist of the North Star with those big muscles and those weird ass outfits.
Even the way his face is designed evokes a more realistic, not realistic, but over realistic. It's like
hyper masculine.
It's like if Big Joe had a sort of baseline character design that would fit in this universe, but then the artists from Ren and Stimpy went and redrew him. Maybe
just make it gross.
Yeah, he's a little gross looking, but I also love him.
Yeah.
He's great. He's just a great comic relief character and a great, well, maybe not comic relief, but he's a personality.
He just shows up.
Yeah. And he's everywhere. Just fucking there. And it's great. Like, why would, like, you know, maybe this deserves further conversation at some other point, but how many great one-off characters are in JRPGs that are just kind of hanging out?
It's a top 10 list I want to see.
They never really serve a full purpose.
Mm-hmm. But you can tell some designer had a penchant. Like, no, put him in that scene.
Yeah.
Put him in that scene.
Yeah.
He'd be really good.
Yeah, he'd be great. And so when you talk to him afterwards, did you pick up what he said afterwards?
I have one quote from Big Joe. It just says, "Booze is my life companion."
That's exactly what I put. Well, he says, "Booze is my life companion, especially in a sucky world like this."
Yeah. So Big Joe, he knows the score, man. He knows it's all going downhill.
Now, can we talk about the word sucky for a minute?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about sucky. What do you want to talk about sucky with?
Did we use that word in 1998?
I did.
I think I did too.
Yeah.
So
this is definitely kind of sucky. It's parlance of the time.
Yes. Very good. Okay. Great.
Acceptable. Like something now you'd be like, yo, let's just find another synonym for bad, please. But sucky was like, hey, the kids will think we're cool if you say sucky.
I loved it. I mean, there's a lot of things to complain about the localization of this game, and there's a lot of uneven dialogue here and there, but
It was a simpler time.
Whenever you get something silly into a game like the word sucky, I'm for it.
They literally say the word Star Trek out loud later in this game.
Oh, wow. Still, I think the best piece of localization, like random ass piece of localization, was in the Lunar Silver Star story complete localization.
May I guess?
Yes.
I love to choke my chicken.
No, I was going to talk about how Nall makes a Bill Clinton cigar joke.
That was my next one. The Clinton cigar joke was the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Working Designs, we could do an entire podcast series on their localization choices for difficulty and text.
If we keep doing this podcast after
we'll do it
this
eventually.
game, then I would love to do Lunar Silver Star story.
Oh, God.
But also I have a other huge list of games that I would love to do. But anyway. So we are, anything else from walking around Dazil?
Is this the point where Fei is bringing up to Citan like, yo, what if we don't fix this robot?
That might be after
Is that after? Well, we tried to rent a buggy to go out into the...
No, we've got to go to the workshop first.
Okay, the workshop, right.
So Citan and Fei get to the workshop. There's not really much to it.
Yeah.
They basically go there and they're like, well, yeah, we don't carry military parts.
They definitely tell you to fuck off.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point.
They're both working. They're like, what? No, get out of here.
I think the only purpose of this scene right here is to establish the fact that there are civilian level gears or civilian grade gears and military grade gears.
Weapons of death.
Yeah.
So then you have to go try to rent a buggy or something and it's not in stock, but then one pulls up.
Yeah. And it's about this time when, as you alluded to, Fei's like, I need to talk to you for a second.
Okay.
So while they're waiting for the sand buggy, and we'll get there. Before that, Fei's like, how about we first let's go talk on a bridge.
The bridge overlook talk.
Let's have a talk on the bridge. Because you need to have, when you have a talk, it needs to be on a bridge in front of a body of water or something. And Fei's like, well, let's not fix this. Let's not fix the Veltal because it has brought, and he doesn't explicitly say this, but his reasoning is that it has brought death upon everybody he knows. So maybe he doesn't want to fix it. So I do not blame Fei for not wanting to fix it.
Yeah.
But we have a video game to play here, so we need to fix it. Citan's like, well, yeah, okay, if you want to go back to Lahan and help them rebuild, go ahead, but we need to get this shit away from here.
It might be dangerous, Fei. Have you thought about this?
Have you thought about how dangerous this gear is? This gear certainly doesn't look like all of the other gears that we've seen to this point.
Do you want to go kill the rest of your friends, Fei?
It might be important, so we need to get it around.
You sure are good at piloting it, Fei.
You're really good at it, Fei. And also, you do not want people fighting over this gear because,
Citan also reveals that Gebler stole Kislev military gear, which was the point of origin for Veltal.
Say that. So Kislev stole...
Gebler stole Kislev military gear.
Okay.
And that was the mission that they were on when it crashed in Lahan.
And Gebler is working on behalf of Aveh at this point, correct?
That is what we've been told. God knows what the actual truth is.
Yeah. I also wrote down during this conversation, I can't tell if Citan is up to some shit or not.
I mean, we know he's up to some shit, but in this specific instance, when he's like, whoa, Fei. I mean, when he just told Fei to get the hell out because the gear is dangerous, and he's like, yeah, no, you're going to need to pilot this thing. Did you explore on the rooftops anymore after this?
Yeah, if you walk along the outer wall of Dazil, Fei notices an excavation site.
Yeah, and it cuts to a pre-rendered scene of that.
Yeah, it looks like a painting off into the distance, and I'm not sure.
It's like a matte painting.
It's not super effective because you don't get a real sense of distance, but it's supposed to show you an excavation site in the background, and Fei's like, hey, what's going on? And Citan explains something about how this is where the Ethos is excavating shit from.
I like that stuff because it suggests the town that you're in is only the abstraction of a real town. That you're only seeing a piece of it, and it's actually 5 times as big. There's all this stuff happening just out of sight where you can't see. This
is the point now where we go to decide that we want to rent a sand buggy because Citan wants to go look for parts.
Yeah,
assuming in the desert, in the dig sites or
there's
something.
All kinds of parts out there, man. The plan is no longer make it for Aveh. It's no, we got to fix this gear. You got to beat the shit out of more. I mean, we just got to fix this gear. Who knows what's going to happen after that? But it is a machine of death, so you can probably predict it. But we got to go fix this.
Yeah, and Citan basically says that, I got this. You go to the bar. I'll be back.
Yeah.
Did you go to the bar?
I did.
Okay, me too.
Yeah, Big Joe's like, you better go get your man.
Yeah, I mean, that's good advice. If your man is going into danger...
Renting this buggy with open top.
The buggy renter also says, well, there's pirates out there.
Yeah.
So
And
Faye's-
Sandmen.
Are the Sandmen the pirates?
Yeah, have you killed enough of these? Is the body pile satisfactory enough for you, Faye?
I don't know. So yeah, Joe's like, hey, dumbass, go with your friend. You don't lose your friend, man.
You're making a lot of sense, Joe.
So, yeah, go ahead.
It was around this time that Fei keeps referring to Citan as Doc. And Fei's always kind of frazzled and worried. And it really brought some Back to the Future vibes in me, where this man takes a weird-ass vehicle off into the great unknown. and you're kind of worried about him, like, whoa, is this dude got his shit on straight? Or what's happening, Doc?
Jesus Christ, Doc, you disintegrated Einstein.
Oh, come on, Doc, jeez. That kind of demeanor from Fei is... I wonder if that was in the back of somebody's mind during this, because he calls him Doc all the time.
We should probably check into what's the Japanese word here, like what's in the original script.
Oh, as far, yeah.
Because is he using like sensei, or is he using something else that's similar?
Some honorifics on the back of that.
Yeah. So this part's funny because I thought that the implication was I need to go sleep at the bar.
Yeah. Just go drink until you pass out, basically.
Yeah, but I did, and all I did was get my HP restored.
Oh, really?
And the story didn't. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. You can do that. And so I did that. And the story didn't progress. And then I was like, oh, wait. When Joe said that I need to go check on my friend,
you need to leave.
Maybe I should go check on my friend. So then Fei runs out into the desert with no food or water or vehicle. He just
still
runs.
The same ass clothes, no head covering.
Yeah. And
the Aveh Desert.
As soon as you get to the Aveh Desert,
yeah, it's a little bit of world map, and it just goes to like desert, like landscapes.
Yep.
Kind of like Blackmoon Forest, but desert, empty desert.
Empty. There's not much platforming or traversal here. It's just basically just running a straight line. But the first thing that we see are a couple of Zakus, as I will continue to call them.
Cheap-ass gears.
Cheap-ass Aveh military gears that are platforming through the
What's their method of travel? They're just doing big jumps.
Yeah,
there's no flying or like hover running, just big jumps.
They're conserving fuel because if they, shock absorption on the bottom of the gears to do these like launch boosts, land in the sand, and then do it again to continue to progress forward. So for some reason, Fei decides that maybe he should chase after these military gears.
The gears because they're going toward my goal.
Again,
I question the decision making of Fei here.
Fei is becoming Goku for a moment.
Yeah.
He's just kind of running to the
first
battle.
idea that pops in his head. He's double down, let's do it.
Also, he's running to the battle. Like, Fei hasn't explicitly said that he loves to fight and he loves combat.
Yeah.
But he acts as if he does.
Yeah, he needs to beat the shit out of somebody soon, like at least once every 10 minutes.
Again, the desert, we have more quiet moments.
Something I remember so he follows the gears through one screen, right? And then it turns into night, or it's already night at this point.
No, not quite. It stays daytime for a while. You go through a couple of screens and you run into a couple of random battles. In a couple of those battles, I guess they can be Aveh soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
And they're trying to shoot Fei. And I don't know why they're trying to shoot Fei. Because there's no interaction. It's like, oh, Aveh soldiers trying to arrest this guy running through the desert. Like,
given the grunt work of military, if they find an unarmed guy in the desert, no one's around, what if we just kill this dude?
I think the Aveh military needs to work on their de-escalation tactics.
Right. Good point.
There's also a couple of like sand sharks there that you can beat the shit out of on the way.
Yeah, those require some death blow combos if you want to one-shot those things.
Yeah, so, we don't have a lot of context on why Fei is able to beat the shit out of both sharks and trained military members, but he can. And then the ground starts shaking.
Yeah.
And Deep Space Nine flies over top of him.
Yeah. I remember, so a UFO with some kind of red force field just drifts over Fei. This, to me, was one of the first great moments of Xenogears when I was a kid, because it's like, oh my God, this game, like you see an airship earlier and it's just casually, oh, it's an airship, but this is clearly an unidentified flying object, 1950s flying saucer ass thing. And I'm like, this game has this in it, and like it doesn't explain what that is for a very long time.
This game what's our hour count at this point? Like 3 or 4 hours?
4, between 4 and 5.
It's given us a lot in the first 5 hours of this game.
It's like, oh yeah, UFOs. UFO, singular.
And, from what I remember, a lot of this there's payoff for most of this, if not all of it. Then we're back to more running through the desert and fighting more battles. But
does Fei even comment on that, or is he like, "Whoa, that was weird"?
Yeah, it's basically a whoa, that is weird situation, I believe.
Okay.
Then there's some motorcycles.
Yeah, sand motorcycles, very efficient means of travel over sand dunes. If you have the proper tires, motorcycles are fuel efficient, single person vehicles.
And he just hijacks a motorcycle?
Yeah, he does some like kind of, I've got cartoon motorcycle hijack. Like, doesn't he get in the guy's way and the guy flies off trying to not hit him or something? And then he picks it up and abandons this man in the desert.
Yeah, I don't feel too bad for the man because he's military and he can get back. You know?
Yeah, he can get back. His buddies probably just tried to shoot Fei before Fei murdered more people.
But I don't know if Fei thought this through. He just knew that he needed to chase these gears because either he's running to a fight or he's worried about Citan, one or the other.
Yeah.
I thought motorcycle hijacking scene was just a little odd.
It was a means to, like, I thought it seems to me in the plotting process, somebody said, well, he can't walk far enough from Dazil, plausibly, so let's get him some kind of transportation where he can feasibly be far away from the city in the middle of nowhere in this vast desert.
It feels like they didn't start thinking about that until he got into the middle of the desert.
Yeah.
Because if he was going to go after Citan, then maybe he would have been like, hey, do you have another sand buggy
that I could rent?
My dude. Yeah, but he didn't. So the gears find Fei. Mm-hmm. The Aveh gears have found Fei. And it's going to be okay because Citan is here in the Veld Hall.
Yeah, Citan shows up in it, piloting it.
And let's say Citan's showing up just in the nick of time. This is number 2.
Again.
Yes. And maybe
like the next day in chronological time.
Yeah, Citan has a penchant for showing up just when he is needed. And he uses, I guess, some sort of minor machine gun, like shoulder mounted machine guns to sort of stun the Aveh gears and
stun locked.
Yeah, stun lock those dudes and hops out and says, I've got some parts for the gear, but you, Fei, the person with a memory of only 3 years and a person who has no military training and also somehow is a really good martial artist, you are the one that must pilot this robot. Not me, but you, Fei, because only you can really do it. And he doesn't really offer us any more explanation on why.
No, Fei's into it.
Yeah.
He knows Fei doesn't require information.
Yeah, again, like you said before, Fei is doing what he's being told.
Does he get into any actual fights here, or does it just cut to the next thing?
No, we fight the gears.
It is an actual battle there?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, Death Blows kind of knock those things down.
We fight the gears, and I think this is the first time that I think in this playthrough that I noticed that my death, because at this point I have two death blows, mm-hmm. and I'm noticing that my death blows are starting to correspond with what I can do in the gear, and it's a pretty standard battle. It doesn't take long to knock out those gears. And then we have a brief moment of silence, and then, things are ramping up.
Yeah, well, it pans over. Does a new character enters with a weird portrait, or not new character? It's the same guy that we saw in Lan. He's identified as the Man in Black. The Man in Black appears. It's not in black, by the way. It's like a brown, multicolored.
Yeah, he appears on this large,
like a mountain spire.
Yeah, mountain spire is a good way to explain it. In the right in front of like a blood red moon.
Yeah. Perfectly symmetrical. Like that screenshot is like a top 5. This is art Xenogears screenshots as far as the framing and the direction of it. Like somebody had this and wanted to make sure this was the featured highlight of this sequence.
My recollection of this game hinges upon this moment. Like, this
cool
was the moment in this game in my original playthrough that I was like, this is the game. This is it. This is a great moment. The music kicks in.
It plays Grahf, Emperor of Darkness, Grahf's theme. Great track.
Yeah, the first thing he says is, your hot-blooded desire for battle has not been tamed, I see. And then we cut to a short anime, sort of introductory. We've seen introductory anime for Ellie now in the last episode that we recorded, and now we're seeing it for Grahf, a man who we will become to know as Grahf.
Seeker of the power.
The short anime says, Fei says, I know you killed her. I think he's talking about Alice.
Young Fei is covered in blood, though, in the sequence as well.
Is he? Okay.
So I wasn't sure. Like Alice, to me, if it was Alice, he would have said, I know you killed her and Timothy, even though Fei directly shot Timothy. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's not, it's hard to tell if it's poorly localized or if it's ambiguous on purpose.
We see creepy eyeless Fei a couple times here, I think.
That version of Fei in the anime.
Yeah, yes, exactly. And then when the anime ends, he tells us his name. My name is Grahf, the Seeker of Power. According to the translation notes on the, there's a great website I found called the Xenogears and Xenosaga Study Guide. It's just somebody
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, somebody put, whoever this person is, I love you. Somebody put a bunch of interviews and translation notes and all kinds of things about this game on an old Blogspot site.
Great. So that'll be gone in a couple of years.
Yeah, exactly. With the intent of preserving this information. But anyway, according to the translation notes on this site, Grahf is a misspelling of Graf, Graf, which may be a reference to Graf Durkheim, a German diplomat, psychotherapist, and Zen master who worked with Nazis and learned and taught Zen in Japan. Graf is also German for Lord. So
that kind of tracks.
Yeah, it does track. And there's actually a parenthetical here that spoils part of the story later, but yeah, it does kind of track with what we kind of can remember about Graf in our first playthrough. And we're saying Graf and not Graf, right?
Graf, yeah. Okay. I need to train myself to do that. It's definitely Graf. The H suggests that it's Graf.
Well, the Graf, the H is a mistranslation.
But it's for the English tongue.
I agree. We alluded to, I think, at the beginning of the last episode about the forest, is that this couple of hours in the game are very dense in terms of the threads that are being unraveled, or at least being, they're starting to, the mysteries of this game are starting to be revealed to us. And during this next conversation, Graf is about to dump a lot of shit. Yeah. 3 main things that come through this next conversation. He's sort of monologuing here. I mean, Fei's talking back to him, but it's mostly just reactionary. Mm-hmm. Graf admits to being the one who orchestrated the attack on Lahan during this conversation.
He did some shit like Mr. Glass and Unbreakable, where he keeps causing accidents, hoping to find the one person to survive it.
Now that we know who you are, I know who I am.
Yes.
Or to utilize the power inside of it.
Exactly. And if you think back to that initial encounter in Lahan, there was a gear that was different than the base level gears that came down, and it appeared to order the execution of Timothy and Alex and everything like that.
That was the same gear.
And this contrasts with Ellie's version of Ellie's recollection of the story, because
as it should, she wasn't present for that part.
Yeah, she wasn't present, and to this point we were like, okay, Kislev and Aveh were fighting, and they happened to be in Lahan village
over it.
Yes, Graf is admitting to be like, yo, I did this.
It's all set up, man.
Yes. And he implies that this was an attempt to unlock latent abilities of Fei.
Yeah, he says, it is the very essence of you, the voice of desire from within you that craves destruction, implying that Fei's kind of predilected not only toward violence, but toward operating this gear to create violence.
He also indicates to Fei that he says your basic nature is unchanged, implying that he has some familiarity with Fei, maybe prior to this amnesia moment.
Yeah, that also, as far as the amount of time this game spans, that could also say a lot of different things.
Yeah, it means a lot. He also mentioned Fei's father. He says, ha, 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 you resemble your father. And Fei says, my father? You mean my dad? You know my father?
They need to do another pass on that line.
Yeah, there's in that same blog that I referenced earlier, there's a few notes on this passage about maybe how it should have been translated. Ultimately, it's just it's just funny.
It's the this guy are sick Xenogears.
Yeah.
Grahf also says he wants Fei's power to destroy, quote, Mother God.
Yeah, I didn't so okay.
That felt new.
Yeah, it did feel new. Yeah, because
they patched that in.
There's a lot of conversation about harnessing Fei's power, and we know that Grahf was the one that orchestrated, I guess, the capture of the Weltall, and he knew Fei was in Lahan Village, and he wanted the Weltall to be there. So now we sort of know why it wasn't piloted before.
Like, I imagine him, like, whatever they were taking it, like, programming their directions in so their map quest went directly over the city.
Yes, exactly. And it's like, okay, we're transporting this gear. No one's piloting it. Just fucking drop it. And then I guess the implication here is that Grahf knew that if he put the gear in Lahan Village, then Fei would get in it.
Like a magnet.
Yeah. So that's something.
I wonder if Citan's complicit in any of this stuff. Like, if he's part of Graf's plan, or if Grahf is part of Citan's plan.
My read is that Citan understands what's going on, but maybe not
They're both two independent Fey life contractors.
They may be actually, because Citan lived at the top of a mountain above Lahan Village, where Fei lived. Grahf knew that Fei lived in Lahan Village, and Grahf knew that Fei has some sort of power that needs to be unlocked. So that gives me the impression that Citan is on watch.
Yeah, maybe as a protection.
Yeah. For some reason. We don't know.
Weird.
I don't think I picked that up in my original playthrough.
No, definitely not.
Don't even remember if that's true or not. I don't remember really how Citan's role evolves throughout this game, but it's definitely obvious if you are playing this game and thinking about it with intent to record a podcast about it.
Yeah.
Then it's obvious. And so, yeah, Fei's like, why do you need his power? Like you said, it is destroy Mother God.
Yeah, sure. You know what? Having played, I don't even know what the hell that means.
Then he says, yes, we will destroy God, which,
we've been delivering that every podcast.
And then Grahf decides that Fei must show him that he has attained the level of strength that he requires.
He's got worms.
So, yeah, exactly. Grahf knew that Fei was going to get in the gear, knew that Fei had powers to unlock the whatever those purple beams of energy or whatever happened in the gear. He knew that was going to happen, but that's not quite enough to destroy God. That's our read here on Grahf.
It's still the beginning of the game, man.
Yeah, and this is early.
That's what he's telling Fei. It's like, listen, yes, but also, why don't you beat up this dune worm?
Yeah, we need... Also, I need you to kill this sandworm. And, okay, so...
It's a pretty dramatic entrance where the sand kind of separates.
Yeah, and by summoning... Okay, so here, what's your read here? Did Grahf use some sort of mystical powers to summon the sandworm? Did he know that he was posted up on a sandworm hive and that it was going to emerge at the end of his soliloquy?
Dude.
Or...
If Graf's out there the day beforehand, like, knocking out a sandworm and burying it just so he can, like, make a clicking sound with his gear that activates its brain to rise through. Like,
so he drugged the sandworm.
Yeah, like that. I'd like to think that is the explanation, is that he's that crazy. But in truth, I think these sandworms are everywhere, and he knows the acoustic pattern to drive them out of their suburban home.
That sounds a lot more likely, because I don't think that like this game doesn't give us any inklings that anybody has any sort of mystical powers that isn't
other than throwing fireballs at people.
Yeah, that's more of rooted in like martial arts.
Yeah,
but we don't have people explicitly casting magic. I don't think.
No, there's no wizards out there doing that kind of shit.
Most things are traced back to the technology. I mean, this is a sort of a hybrid fantasy, sci-fi world.
Just kind of just go with it.
Yeah. But I don't think anybody. What I'm trying to say is there are no Beastmasters in Xenogears.
Yeah. So this worm, what is its primary method of messing with you?
It just eats your fuel.
Dude, it loves gas.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like, we have to assume that if there's fuel in this, that it's gasoline, and there's dinosaurs that are bones, and they had to eat, the worm probably eats the dinosaur bones. So it's really like a more efficient, refined drink, a tasty treat for the worm. But he's like, oh, it's a gear, man. Yo, I love that. It's like perfect to fight the gear because it drinks gear juice.
Yeah. And I didn't...
It's incentivized to kill the gear.
I don't know what it's supposed to teach us.
Magic, right? Isn't this like, if you do your magic in this, I think it takes off, unless I'm confusing it, it melts the worm.
Is that the ether machine?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ether machine, it appears that ether machine channels your skills.
Yeah, your
into
on-foot
gear.
magics.
And then basically that causes the Veltal to do the Kamehameha
Yeah.
and murder anything in its path. It looks cooler than its actual power, but no, I didn't do that. I just did combos until it died.
I mean, we're still not at a point in the game where they're giving us hard bosses.
Yeah, this game hasn't gotten to
It does.
The curve hasn't.
It will. Calamity's coming soon.
Yeah, I appreciate that too, because I always thought a lot of games, especially from this era, tended to be more difficult earlier on.
Yeah.
And then you sort of get overpowered as you gain more abilities.
I'm sure when designing a game, that curve is pretty hard to nail down.
Oh, it's got to be. I can't even imagine trying to build a difficulty curve in a Japanese RPG because of
Just figure this out for 50 hours. Make it perfect. Thanks.
Yeah.
There's 100 other people designing part of this game.
I'm sure Squaresoft has like a neural network now that can do that. But,
absolutely.
Maybe it has not been deployed yet. So that battle ends, and I think once the battle ends, like Grahf's gotten loose. He's out.
Yeah. He's observed the power, and he's like, all right, I'll check in with you in 5 more hours.
It puts a relative amount of trust onto Fei to not die or quit doing what he's doing or whatever.
I'm sure Grahf has a tracking device on that thing.
Yeah, that's true. And that's it. And then like at this point, I guess the Veltal is...
It got fucked up again.
Yeah, it's not great. And then the Aveh military moves in and captures...
Yeah. Citan said the repairs were temporary.
Yeah, Fei and Citan are done, and they're captured now.
They're on a transport ship.
Next time we engage with these characters, I think we're going to get even more layers of things happening.
Yeah. Some new characters.
Maybe specifically with how things are playing out politically within the kingdom of Aveh, but we'll find out here pretty soon. We know there's pirates in the desert, so, figure it out. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Twitter at Retro Amnesia Pod. And as always, thank you to Mark Shepard for the intro track. We like how it sounds
Today.
Next time, maybe you should initialize your fake net.
Initializing fake net.
That's good. Say that every time.
I'm just going to talk about fake nets a lot.
I love the fake net. That should be the podcast name.
Initializing fake net.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we did not discover the fake net until after we started the podcast.
Hindsight.
Although, check us out on Patreon at patreon.com/retroam. Email us questions and comments and complaints and concerns about my health to retrogradeamnesiapodcast@gmail.com. And please review us on your favorite podcast service, including Apple Podcast. Give us 5 stars. If you don't give us 5 stars, then we just can't be friends. If you give us 5 stars, then let us know and we'll give you a cookie.
Ice cream.
But this guy, I like the way this game is going. It's fun to talk about it in this way. And until next time.
Yes, we will kill God.
On the, there's a...
Nice pen drop.
Welcome to Retro...
Yeah, you need to do that one again, dude.
Yep, I do.
Initializing fake net.